We're releasing this video on October 4, which is my birthday. It's also Eugene Kaspersky's birthday, but Eugene is 3 years younger than me, so it's my birthday. It's time to give another unsolicited testimonial to Eugene Kaspersky and his company, Kaspersky Lab, and that's coming up next on V-Myths. Hey everybody, Rob Rosenberger here for V-Myths. I was widely regarded as one of the two most feared critics in the computer security industry, and I wear one of the oldest white hats in the global antivirus industry, if not the oldest white hat, period. I've griped a lot about the antivirus industry since 1988, but I do like to give credit where due. And since it's our birthdays, I want to give that unsolicited testimonial about Kaspersky Lab and its founder, Eugene Kaspersky. Here's the story. Some years back, I started collecting daily status information that was freely available on many computer security vendors' websites. I wanted to analyze their status information and the role it might play in computer security hysteria. I asked each firm for an archive of their freely available daily status, because obviously the extra data would improve my analysis. Now, I expected some of them would balk, but I didn't expect that every company but Kaspersky Labs would balk at it. Of those who deigned to give a reason for all of their denials, they all basically said, "Yes, we do make those daily statuses freely available on our website, but an archive of those daily statuses would be extraordinarily sensitive, proprietary information that cannot be given out to an independent researcher like yourself. Thank you for wasting our time. Oh, and we love all of the comedy you put in all of your columns. Love and kisses." Of all the companies, Kaspersky Lab alone asked me,
"What format do you want data in?" Okay, I'm bad at Russian accents, but I do a good Ernie. Hey, Bert.
May I repeat myself? Of all the computer security firms offering this freely available status report on their public websites, only Kaspersky Lab felt their freely available information should be made freely available in archive form, at least to an independent researcher. Now, I'll admit that I had backdoor access to Eugene Kaspersky at that time, but I also had backdoor access to most of the top echelons at most of the firms I contacted. The only real difference here is that Eugene Kaspersky, and by extension Kaspersky Lab, felt that the freely available information should be made freely available in archive form, at least to an independent researcher. Now, I've predicted for years that Kaspersky Lab would expand its research arm, and based on everything we see in the trade rags, I feel they're going to focus more on computer security research at a time when some computer security firms seem to be scaling back in that research. If Kaspersky Lab is going in that direction, if I'm right, then I predict they'll become the dominant player in research as other companies put their blinders on corporate product development. If Kaspersky Lab becomes the dominant player in computer security research, then it's a lot more than just good, folks. It's good for all the right reasons. Know this, computer security research is evolving. It's no longer a simple write-up from the PR department talking about the hacker mindset and Nigerian scams. Today's competent research is nuanced and complex. It can't be written up just because the marketing department is launching some new ad campaign. And it can't be topical if you're pitching it months in advance for a DEF CON or a Black Hat briefing. Some deep dive researchers now analyze a youthful but mature mafia cyber syndicate, while other deep dive researchers study the output from a no longer infantile computer military cyber ethos. If there is one man on earth who can build a for-profit empire to give us the evolving computer security research that we need, that man is Eugene Kaspersky. I first made this prediction in 2006 that Kaspersky Lab would aim toward research and become its dominant player. And if they really are going in that direction, then I wish them all the best. Now, I think we need to say this. Computer security research cannot truly evolve until computer security criticism is embraced at the mainstream. Real-world example, Hollywood. Movies have been evolving over the decades, especially with the advent of CGI and the screenplay through line. Thanks to groundbreaking work by people like Siskel and Ebert, independent movie critics now operate in the mainstream. Let's put it this way. Profiting from movie critics is one thing, but controlling movie criticism in the name of profit is bad. What if you could never find out that the mainstream thought that a movie sucked before you went to see it? Okay, what if you could never find out from the mainstream that password complexity is bass-ackwards, yet we continue to teach it the wrong way for certification tests, even though we know it's wrong? What if you could never find out from the mainstream that many computer security certification tests perpetuate urban legends? It's all about controlling criticism in order to increase profit, and that's bad. Okay, now, right now the teleprompter is telling me to talk off the cuff about why security tests are so screwed up. It's not just that security tests that certs are screwed up. It's that every other test or computer cert is so much less flawed than a computer security cert. If you took like a Cisco test, you can only get your CCNA cert based by doing things that are right. You can't like give you a test that would make you like answer a cross-connect cable when you really needed a straight through. If they did, if it did have that, the test answer would be wrong and everybody would tell them and Cisco would fix it. But if you take a CISSP or a Security Plus test, which are computer security certs, some of the so-called correct answers can be totally wrong about password methodology or the history of computer viruses, or I had more than that, but you get the point. And I'm not the only one who thinks this by any stretch of the imagination. Computer security is unlike anything else in computers. It's ephemeral. It's about methodologies and policies and rote memorization of things that are shrouded in urban legends. And we're making these tests up so that people can become, certified computer security experts. Now, I'd love to tell you, I'd love to write a column about the specific portions that I blew up about in the Security Plus cert, but I can't because they'll sue me for exposing specific fundamental flaws in that cert. And this is what I mean by controlling all criticism in the name of profit. Look, in the computer security world, every question on the cert is pretty much 1 and 0, on and off. Or not computer security world, but computer world. You either get the question right or you get the question wrong. It's straightforward. It's a computer, for heaven's sake. But not if the question is about security. And then these certified experts go running around with their companies screwing up stuff because they think they're right. If there's one area of computers, of computer certs where we need critics, it's the computer security certs. But those test proctors are going to continue to screw up people for a long time because they're controlling all criticism about their tests in the name of profit. And and that's bad. Woohoo! I just got right back to the line where I'm going to be going to next. Good for me. Okay, I'm done. Back to the teleprompter. 3, 2, 1. Personally, I believe that even today, the media circus that is computer security abhors its critics. Yeah, there are genuine critics besides myself, but there is no mainstream for us, and there won't be so long as the entire computer security industrial complex does everything it can to control thought in the name of profit. Now, if you've been a fan of VMyths for 10 or 15 years, then you know I don't see eye to eye with Eugene, at least not on some very important issues. But as far as I've ever known, Eugene has never taken my criticism too personally. People, that attitude is vital to Kaspersky's success if he tries to convert real research into real long-term profit. The fruits of evolving research will wither on the vine without a healthy dose of criticism. And if there's anyone who will tolerate that and maybe endorse it in the critical eye, it is Eugene Kaspersky. Good movie making, as we know it, has evolved in no small part thanks to heartfelt, independent movie critics. If Eugene Kaspersky is savvy, and his net worth tells us that he is, then he'll work to endorse and nurture criticism. Why? Simple. If he is going in this direction, then critiques are good business in the long run. And hey, guess what? Nobody else wants real criticism. It's his for the taking. And this, if you're a V-Myths fan, is the point where I drop out from the ostensible and I explain what I'm really up to. Ostensibly, this is a birthday gift to Eugene Kaspersky, but in reality, it's another snooze alarm, snooze alarm, snooze alarm for the U.S. Department of Defense and its cadre groupthink mentality. I'm stunned by 16 years of tripe that comes out of there that calls itself a thesis paper at the Air Command and Staff College and, yes, the Air War College. The Pentagon is pumping out one captain after another, one colonel after another, whose minds are TIG-welded to the groupthink. You read these thesis papers on cyber and you start to think,
oh, good grief! How can someone be that devoid of original thought in a military graduate course for a warfighting domain with no declared sovereign boundaries?
but hey, it might actually be worse than it looks. These men and women might not be dumb. Maybe they're smart enough to drink the Kool-Aid, as they say in the military, so they can get promoted, all because they toe the line on groupthink. Believe me, folks, a smart person inside the groupthink can come up with ingenious ways to keep it alive when the groupthink is on the verge of disaster. And keeping the groupthink alive in the military can get people killed. Now, at this point, I'm sure captains and majors will be hitting the pause button to say, well, Mr. Rosenberger may have been a certified information warfare expert for the Air Force in the past, but he's not really aware of all the latest military theses that have been classified at the highest levels for their unique interpretations of how to exploit the battle space. Stop! Stop! Don't go changing the subject. The subject is the ungodly number of half-atards coming out of the military colleges with no original thought on cyber. They're not using the 6 inches between these two fingers. The subject is doofuses who will go on to control the levers of power in cyber when they can't even conceptualize what the lever is for.
Well, Mr. Rosenberger, can you conceptualize the levers of power in military cyber?
No, not by reading these tripe theses being written in your vaunted military colleges.
So understand this, CENTCOM G6. If Kaspersky Lab becomes the dominant player in global open source computer security research, you will not be a peer equal in 10 years. Neither will your little number 6 buddy over at NORTHCOM. Oh, your Maxwell-trained cybergrads can sit around in their secure facilities claiming we're all Cyber Billy Mitchells and waving their colorful little badges that tell them which bathrooms they can get access to and which bathrooms they can't. But if a real war breaks out, our men won't be fighting on a classified hard disk or in a digitized battle space or even on an air base or a Navy port. They'll be fighting on the streets of Paris or on the shores of Malaysia or on the mountainsides of Azerbaijan. And guess what? Their lives will depend in no small part on your guys. Ugh. Now, I'm still talking to you folks in DoD who wear full battle rattle while you change a magenta printer cartridge so you can bang out a hard copy of your unclassed thesis to your commander that he's only got time to read on a plane flight to a conference on C4 ISR or C5 ISR or C6 ISR or C7 ISR, whatever you call it these days. You can't see it through the haze of groupthink, but you're going down a similar path that led CIA right to the Bay of Pigs disaster. You'll be a peer competitor when the balloon goes up, but you won't be a peer equal. And when the 4-star finally figures that out, after the fact, Maxwell's silver hammer is going to rain down on cyber, just like they did it with Air Force Communications Command in 1991. All right. Enough about the Marshall groupthink mentality. Let's get back to the birthday boy, shall we? If I could give just one piece of advice right now to Eugene Kaspersky, I'd tell him to review the history of Hollywood's golden era, when they wielded total control over all criticism. How else do you explain Ed Wood and Attack of the Eye Monsters and every other movie that didn't get a proper critical send-up until MST3K came along? Don't film a remake of Hollywood's incestuous affair with criticism. Embrace research with criticism as two parts of a greater whole. And Eugene, if you're a fan of South Park, that's the answer to the question mark that comes before the word prophet. So I wish Eugene Kaspersky a happy birthday. I wish the company all the ethical success it can muster. And if they're going to be the dominant player in computer security research, then I wish them all the ethical profit they can muster. Any level of for-profit is fine, so long as it's ethical.
Oh, and by the way, Eugene, you know that I've been inflicting my ethical standard on the global antivirus industry since 1988. Because they have no ethical standard of their own. Eugene, let's fix that, at least at the research level. I think I can count on you.
Happy birthday, dude. I'm Rob Rosenberger for vMyths. That's VMYTHS.com. Truth about computer security hysteria. Be there or be scared. I'm sure you get people who are less competent at this than I am, but
I have a lot of people reels.
yeah. Some of these I actually put in. I throw them at the end of these little YouTube videos. I just don't take myself all that seriously. All right, so I think we're ready.